NCAA has already appealed. In Major League Baseball, the Yankees won in 10 innings at Cleveland 7-5. Tampa Bay 3-1 over Boston. Wins for Washington and San Diego.
Live from the heart of SEC country, this is your daily fix of grit, guts, and gridiron glory. Welcome to the Deep South College Football Show.
Bowen, here it goes! Georgia retakes the lead!
Breaking down the biggest matchups, the boldest takes, and the deepest rivalries in college football on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Intercepted! They confused him! Xavier Brown headed the other way! Touchdown Tide!
From Fayetteville to Gainesville, from the Grove to Toomer's Corner, it's SEC football.
Delivers! Touchdown!
Now, here's your award-winning host, Wyatt Fulton.
It is a beautiful Tuesday here on the Deep South College Football Show on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports here. We talked a little bit about Brendan Sorsby yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit more about him today as he was ruled eligible by a Lubbock County Court judge, getting a temporary injunction against the NCAA, meaning that he is now allowed to play for Texas Tech this upcoming season here in the college football season. We're going to talk about Texas Tech a lot today as what does Brendan Sorsby bring to the table, right? Is he, quote unquote, for the lack of better terms here, is he worth the headache that it appears that Texas Tech is going to have to face here with his injunction being granted? Is he worth it? Flat out. I mean, is this a guy that, $4 million here? Is Brendan Sorsby worth the quote-unquote headache that Texas Tech is pretty much going to have to deal with here when you look at his contributions to the program, what he brings to the table as a quarterback? We're also going to talk about the reaction, right? Because it was hot and heavy yesterday. The Big Ten has mandated that their schools no longer engage in conversations with Texas Tech regarding scheduling agreements. And I believe this is for more than just football. Texas Tech has ruffled a lot of feathers here recently when you look at NIL, the transfer portal, things like that. We talked about the Women's College World Series yesterday. Nyjah Kennedy, the first $1 million deal in college softball. So all that to say here, Texas Tech has ruffled a lot of feathers. So we'll talk about what they bring to the table today, what Brendan Sorsby is, I guess, worth to that Texas Tech program, as well as some of the mandates from not only the Big Ten, but some other SEC schools have begun to say the same thing as well. We got the gentlemen hanging out with us here in the studio, Whitman Clark and Chase Brumfield. Gentlemen, how we doing today?
Good. How are you, Wyatt?
I'm good. It's a beautiful little toasty day here in Tuscaloosa. Whitman, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, but Wyatt, I was told toasty was the minimum down here in the South during the summer, or was I incorrectly informed?
No, it is. It is.
Okay.
It is the bare minimum down here.
Hey,
in
at
the
least
South.
it's sunny though. At least it's sunny. I was told about this heat in the sun, and I came down here and for 3 days, all I got was hot, soaking wet, thick, aired rain. So sunshine's good
That's
to see.
the thing. What'll happen here though is it's the perfect epitome of the weather here in the South. It'll be hot all day. It'll rain about 1 or 2 o'clock. And then at 3, it's just muggy, humid. You feel like you've walked outside and you're just standing in a sauna basically, but not in an enjoyable way at all. It's just sticky outside at this point. And
I am so excited to regret my decision to play a round of golf after this show. Words can't describe it.
yeah, no, words cannot describe the regret that you will face as you stand on probably hole number 3 is when you realize, crap, I've made a mistake, but I got 15 more holes to go here. So regardless, though, that's the decision you've made. And there's a reason you're the skinny one here and I'm not, because I'm not making that decision.
You know, Wyatt, that might be the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Don't get used to it. Anyways, Brendan Sorsby, Texas Tech quarterback here, was ruled eligible via a temporary injunction against the NCAA yesterday. Now, the Big Ten has come out and mandated that their teams not play Texas Tech in the short form of it here. ESPN's Pete Thamel and On3's Pete Nakos, the Petes have been all over this story here when you look at Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech. From last night from Pete Thamel here, Big Ten officials are expected to discuss in the upcoming days a league-wide mandate to not play Texas Tech in any sports per multiple Big Ten sources. This is in the wake of Nebraska AD Troy Dannon informing his staff today that they are no longer allowed to schedule Texas Tech in any sporting events here. Nebraska did it. Georgia said the same thing. Ross Dellinger had the report out of Athens, Georgia, saying that, hey, no more agreements with Texas Tech. We are not playing the Red Raiders in the future, or at least as of right now, that is the plan. Until further notice, though, no scheduling agreements between Georgia and Texas Tech, Nebraska and Texas Tech, and it appears in the coming days, the Big Ten as a whole and Texas Tech. Now, this is interesting because Joey McGuire, the head coach of Texas Tech, a couple of days ago at a booster event in the state of Texas, announced an announcement was coming that Texas Tech was probably going to be having marquee non-conference games scheduled in the near future with other programs. USC was one of those programs, notably, that was rumored to be in these scheduling agreements with Texas Tech. Well, the Big Ten comes out and says, hey, no, you're not allowed to schedule any games with Texas Tech for the foreseeable future. That could put a dent in the Red Raiders' argument that, hey, we are scheduling premier non-conference opponents. Because if you look at their non-conference slate right now, it is Abilene Christian and Oregon State. That's it. That's who Texas Tech is playing in the non-conference this upcoming season here. 2 non-conference games here for Texas Tech, I believe. No, excuse me. I apologize. Abilene Christian at Oregon State and Sam Houston State. So 3 non-conference games. The other 9 are Big 12 games for the Red Raiders here this season. Whitman, Chase, what a brutal schedule that is for those guys, man. I don't know how they're going to survive without Brendan Sorsby those first 2 games against Abilene Christian and Oregon State.
I found this to be a very interesting debacle over the last 24 hours. Not like you can almost excuse the Sorsby thing, crazy as it is. The storyline of these ADs coming out saying, do not speak to anybody Texas Tech is striking. I've never seen anything like it. I, early on, would maybe agree with the decision, say, hey, if you're going to take a stand, this is the way to do it in today's age because, the 24-hour Twitter news cycle, your opinion is only going to be heard for so long and it's only going to carry so much weight. The only way to make that real change and to show, how you feel is to just say, hey, we're not going to play you. My only concern is I'm okay with Nebraska doing it. Georgia, maybe we got a little bit of right message, wrong messenger type thing going on there when it comes to right and wrong. I'm pretty sure Kirby's football team could field about half of a NASCAR race any given Sunday. But I agree with the message that, the gambling thing, it's not right for the sport. Again, maybe we just find somebody other than Georgia to deliver that message.
Well, to be fair, don't throw stones at a glass houses here, Texas Tech, because wasn't your head coach arrested for a DUI earlier in his career? So maybe we don't throw stones when we live in a glass house.
Also, speeding tickets don't, directly impact the integrity of the game and make people start to think, well, maybe are these games rigged? Are these players starting to, throw interceptions just to make that money line bet?
Yeah, so it's it's tough to see here. You look at the Red Raiders' future opponents here for Texas Tech here as we'll switch our tabs here. Hey, there we go. In the near future, that's a lot of doo-doo right there. Abilene Christian at Oregon State, Sam Houston in the 2026 season. In 2027, as of right now, they've got Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and New Mexico. In 2028, Stephen F. Austin and Wyoming. 2029, I believe that UIW is Incarnate Word and Missouri State. Now, 2030, we do finally start to see, okay, wait a minute. You're starting to get some teams with a bit of a pulse, right? Arkansas, but you're playing them in Las Vegas, so it's a further trip for Arkansas than it is for Texas Tech there, and Fresno State, a Pac-12 institution now. So, okay, fair, whatever. 2031, you go to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Again, I said some team with a little bit of a pulse, right? Because Arkansas was 2-10 in conference play last season. They hope that Ryan Silverfield can take that program to the next level. But what is the next level for Arkansas? They went 2-10 last year. Is the next level 4 wins, 5 wins, competing for bowl eligibility?
a bowl game.
Okay, so you're playing a quasi bowl eligible SEC team. Fair. I'll at least give you the nod there. 2032, you're playing Washington State, Fresno State, and you're going to UTEP. Okay. All right. The only team with the pulse here on this Texas Tech schedule is 2033 when you go to Eugene, Oregon. But that game's so far down the road, and we're canceled. We've seen a lot of these games get canceled already. Until we get to the offseason prior to the 2033 season, I'm not going to believe that game's getting played. I'm just going to kind of operate under the guise that game's probably going to be canceled here.
This is also assuming that McGuire is even still around at Texas Tech, because if they keep feeding this team money, feeding this team a quality roster, and McGuire still can't, perform as expected, what they're expecting to get on that ROI from that money, yeah, they got money to go buy him out and get a better coach.
Cody Campbell loves to throw around all that money that he's got there. Yeah, he's got all the money in the world that if Joey McGuire does not deliver on what he's supposed to, could buy him out, could go find a new coach, and still field a competitive roster the next season.
Yeah, it's very similar to what position Texas is in this year, I feel like.
Got all the money in the world. If Sark doesn't deliver on the deliverables, then maybe we have an uncomfortable conversation about what's going on in Austin, Texas. Same thing could be said about Lubbock, Texas there. Yeah, these programs here, they don't have to sit with a bad coach because of a big buyout number. They've got all the money in the world. They love to throw that money around. They love to tout that they've got, more money than anybody in the sport. They can go buy the best roster across sports, right? Texas Tech football won the Big 12, made the college football playoff. Men's basketball made the NCAA tournament. Softball made the finals against Texas there. Baseball didn't quite get the job done, not heading to Omaha, but still, they quote unquote have all the money in the world to buy out these players, buy out these coaches, go field the best, most competitive rosters in the sport. It works when you're a head coach because you can bring in the best talent, but it also kind of works against you because if you bring in that talent and you don't deliver on your deliverables, conference championships, postseason appearances, postseason wins, national championships, if you don't deliver on those deliverables, then suddenly maybe it does turn into, all this money that we've got just kind of sitting over in a pool over here, let's take that, buy you out, go get somebody who's better at your job and still have the roster and the talent that we do. And maybe then we can actually go win some ball games.
Let this be my last free dunk on Texas Tech, but the best roster money can buy earned them a goose egg in the score column of the Orange Bowl and a 30-point loss in the second round of the NCAA tournament. That's all I got.
Who was that second round loss to, by the way?
I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank here. It surely wouldn't be one of those measly SEC teams, though.
Surely it wasn't the team with the head coach that everybody was hunting for, right? Because I remember Kentucky came calling for that guy.
But wouldn't Texas Tech be able to afford him?
Allegedly, Texas Tech could pay him a little more money and, field a better roster than what he had. And I think that team may have been down their second best guard at the time, second leading scorer due to some legal battles that he was in.
Odd,
that sounds like a really familiar team. Who are we talking? Oh, that's right. The University of Alabama handed Texas Tech a loss in the NCAA tournament in men's basketball. And the SEC still reigns supreme in college softball with Texas taking home the crown for the second straight season.
Not to switch topics here, but I'm going to kind of pivot here. Do we think that, what do you think Urban Meyer how much money could Texas or Texas Tech throw at Urban Meyer to get him to come coach?
I think he'd be more likely to go to Texas Tech than Texas.
Just avoid the SEC?
Yeah, well, he ran from it once already, and now it's gotten even tougher since the last time he stepped foot in the conference. He's got a stain on his resume, man. Those days in Jacksonville were not good to Urban Meyer. So I don't know. Maybe he's got an itch that he needs to scratch, and Texas Tech's got all the money in the world. He paid a lot.
Right, and it's not like Texas Tech is shying away from, controversy here.
No, absolutely not. Why would you, right? When you've got all the money in the world and you can buy out lawyers pretty much, why would you go out and avoid controversy. So we'll go ahead and take this first time out here. On the other side, we'll talk with Brady in Tuscaloosa, jumping in with us here on the phone lines, and we'll talk a little bit about what Brendan Sorsby brings to the table, right? We've talked all about the legal situation and the gambling and the $90,000. Okay, is he worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze that they're currently playing with right now? So we'll talk about that on the other side here on Tide 100.9.
Today on the pod, we're talking to Joan, a method actor and scratchers enthusiast. So, Joan, what do you like about playing scratchers?
Well, as a method actor, it's about becoming the ticket. Scratching up, down, stage left, stage right.
So what's your motivation? Because your performance feels so real.
Oh, I was just tapping into my inner scratchers.
Incredible.
Yes. Bravo me.
Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase player claim.
With kits and so much more. If your golf cart needs repairs, the pros at Dixie Custom Carts can handle the job. Dixie Custom Carts, Greensboro Avenue in Tuscaloosa.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info,
ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more, or visit TremfyaRadio.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Sunshine here this afternoon, 91. 73 tonight with a fair sky. Sunny tomorrow with a high 92. 92 on Thursday with abundant sunshine. Storm chances and moisture will be on the increase by the end of the week. Showers and storms return to the forecast on Friday, 91. Scattered thunderstorms Saturday, high 90. Richard DeWetting of the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 93 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Roll Tide, the best sports talk, period. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. Let's jump out on the phone lines here and let's talk with Brady in Tuscaloosa. Brady, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys? I'm actually on 2059 right now in Bessemer. I'm headed back up to Athens. I came down for the weekend for baseball. It was a pretty fun weekend if I do stay.
Heck yeah, man. That's what's up. Are you going to Omaha?
I really want to. I just can't find nobody to go with me.
That's fair. That's fair. It's a heck of a trip, man.
It's been on my bucket list. I was in band for 5 years. I'm officially an alum now of the NCT, but I went to the Final Four of the National Championship. Men's March Madness 4 years in a row. But every year that I was in basketball band, we went to the Sweet 16 at the very least. It was awesome. I've been to the Women's College World Series. And that's the one thing left that I really want to go to is the men. So I didn't think it would be this year. I really didn't think we'd be going while I was in school. That's crazy.
I didn't either, man. I would say this is probably the second best athletic calendar that the University of Alabama's had. Number one is always going to be 2012, unless you just blow that out of the water, because you won 4 national championships across all your sports that season. But this year with the amount of
football, gymnastics, softball, and what was the other one?
I believe it was men's and women's golf, I believe.
Okay.
So 4 national championships, but with the amount of postseason success you've had this year, I feel like this has got to be number 2. Football made the playoff, basketball made the Sweet 16, women's basketball made the tournament round of 32, women's college World Series, men's college World Series. By the way, Doris won national championships as well. You had the national runner-up in golf.
Yeah, you look at the offer people on Twitter, and they're like, make all these things, but you have nothing to show for it. But if the roles were reversed, they'd be bragging all day long about making all these postseason tournaments and the World Series of both baseball and softball. I mean, we're the only school this year to do that.
Yeah. I mean, Alabama's the only school this year that has made the college football playoff, made the NCAA tournament in both men's and women's sports, and then made the College World Series in both baseball and softball. So I feel like the University of Alabama's done a really good job under Greg Byrne of becoming highly competitive in all their sports.
Greg Byrne's an awesome dude, man. One of my favorite Greg Byrne stories is we were out in Arizona for the Final Four, and it was us and cheer. We were trying to get the money to pay the bus driver to go up to the Grand Canyon, trying to figure out how we were going to make that work. And our director, I guess he made a call, and he put in our little message, he was like, we're going to the Grand Canyon tomorrow. When you see Coach Byrne again, be sure to thank him. And then find out later he gave us the money to pay the bus driver and pay our entrance fees at the park. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. Speaking of Greg Byrne, Ryan Fowler's going to be on with Greg Byrne at 3:15 here this afternoon. So if you want to hear from Bama's AD, be sure to listen to Ryan Fowler.
That'll be awesome. About the Sorsby thing, I think the proper step, I said this on Christian's show, is to just everybody boycott Texas Tech. Like, I think eventually, once they can't schedule literally anybody, except for, Texas School for the Blind, they're going to end up having to cave into that and tell Sorsby he can't play, which, same thing, if I'm the NCAA, I'm looking at this and saying, let's take it to the district court, and if the district court doesn't like it, let's go to the Supreme Court, because you got 4 Texas Tech graduates in that district in Texas, and if any of them recuse themselves from the case, the next one that would pick it up is also a Texas Tech grad. So I think that there's a conflict of interest there for the judge, that they wouldn't really be able to rule in that case very unbiased.
I agree the NCAA should continue to elevate this, because this is potentially going to compromise the integrity of the sport as a whole.
This is what I think on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, this is one I could see making its way to the Supreme Court. But the problem is that because the NCAA, the way the temporary injunction was given, is the only thing they can do at this point is appeal the decision. Well, that court hearing for the NCAA's appeal was set for February 8th. 2 weeks after the national championship. So even if you appeal it and you do get a favorable ruling in the Texas District Court, it's 2 weeks after the season ended. What happens if Texas Tech wins the national championship? What, are you just going to vacate the entire season? Are you just going to vacate everything that they did? The games were played.
You have to.
The games were played. They were used in determining conference champions and playoff seeding. So now you vacated an entire season of your sport. The only way the NCAA, there's 2 ways that the NCAA can do this here. They either wait and just vacate the entire season at the end, basically say, hey, yeah, we had no national champion in 2026 because it was Texas Tech, and now we know that they played an ineligible player. Or, and I don't even know how the legality of this would work, essentially what they could do is, because you don't want to compromise the season, right? Essentially what they could do is come out after every single Texas Tech game, win or loss, and say, yep, we're vacating that game. So Texas Tech essentially enters every week 0-0 in conference play, 0-0 overall, 0-0 in conference play. So that way you're not using what happened on the field to determine Big 12 standings and college football playoff seeding. Because if you wait till the end of the year, well, okay, Texas Tech does 11-1, wins the Big 12. They're getting an automatic bid into the college football playoff. The teams that they beat now have another loss on their record, so that may hinder the Big 12 from getting another team in the college football playoff. And it determines seeding. Texas Tech could get a home game. Texas Tech could get a bye like they did last season. And so now you've got an ineligible player causing a ripple effect across the entire sport at that point.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm the Big 12, though, put me in the shoes of the Big 12 commissioner. I'm saying, Texas Tech, you are ineligible for the postseason in every single sport. Like, you're ineligible for the championship game in every sport unless you get rid of this dude, unless they could change this ruling. I mean, there's pretty clear ways to get them to cave into the pressure of this. You could have the CFB come out. This would be the most powerful one, and say, if the Texas Tech if they play this player, will not be allowed to play the CFB. And then that's the point where the CFB is able to use the power that it has. Because I've been saying this for a long time. The CFB has a ton of power they don't ever use. The NCAA doesn't really have any power over football anymore. But the CFB, if you're like, hey, what you're doing right now ain't right, and damaging the integrity of the game, you can't come to our little tournament at the end of the season. Texas Tech would change their MO pretty quick.
Pete Thamel put out and said, don't expect any immediate action from the Big 12. They have a defined process to address it, which begins with an AD call today. The executive board will meet on Thursday to discuss options. And then in another tweet, he says, the board call will likely be followed by a full Big 12 board call sometime early next week. It is interesting, though, here, Brady, that the Big 12 does permit, like basically the conference is permitted to punish an institution if they are abiding outside of the quote-unquote legal system of the sport. So while the NCAA does not necessarily have the power to do anything to Brendan Sorsby now, the Big 12 could still come out and say, no, you're not. If you play him, we're going to vacate your wins. The Big 12 is going to vacate your season if you play Brendan Sorsby. So we could still see maybe Brett Yormark does do the right thing. It's no secret I'm not the biggest fan of the Big 12 commissioner, Brett Yormark. I think he's, I think he's gotten pushed over a time or two, but this is a spot where the Big 12 can kind of take that sole possession of that third power conference spot, right? Right now it's the Big 10 and the SEC. You've got the power two, the middle two as the ACC and the Big 12 and the group of six. Everybody else is in that group of six here. But I think this is a moment here where the Big 12 can kind of start to distance itself from the ACC and align a little bit closer with what the SEC and the Big 10 want to do. Because the SEC and the Big 10 are the two that control everything. If Brett Yormark goes about this the way that I think he could and effectively does rule Brendan Sorsby, hey, you can't play. We're going to vacate your entire season as a conference if you do play this player, then maybe it does start to elevate the Big 12 to that same level that the SEC and the Big 10 currently stand on.
I mean, there's plenty of ways to get pressure on this dude. If you're the NCAA or these different award committees, say the Heisman Committee, the Heisman Trust, it's like, you're not eligible for the Heisman Trophy. Brendan Sorsby's not eligible for the Heisman Trophy. Be like, he's not eligible for any of these awards. Y'all aren't eligible for the postseason. Like, at a certain point, Texas Tech would be like, we're going to lose too much money, and they would cave. The interesting thing about the case to me, it's just like, look at Bediako. They did that case within a couple of weeks of the injunction being granted. And it's really interesting that the judge in this case just so happened to put it in February. Like, I think, seriously, like, one of my majors is criminal justice, and that's the degree I'm finishing up right now. I've already finished my other one. But it's so interesting to me to see how, like, there's so many different organizations that can get involved with this. Because you look at the Texas Bar, you can feel like, hey, that's kind of a conflict of interest. Like, you should recuse yourself from this case. And if all four of them can't hear the case, you can move it to a different district. Or the NCAA can request to move to a different district.
They could. The problem is that, again, this case is already scheduled for February the 8th, which is 2 weeks after the season ends in college football. Like, to me at this point, I'm shocked, and I shouldn't be, because it's college football and the NCAA, and we know that they can never get anything right here. So I shouldn't be shocked, but I'm shocked that this has worked out this way. I mean, when it came out that Brendan Sorsby was, entering the gambling rehab facility for gambling on his own sport, on his own team. I mean, we said it yesterday, the golden rule of sports. Amidst all the change in college sports and pro sports, the golden rule has always been, you don't bet on your team. You don't bet on your own sport. Calvin Ridley got suspended for a year out of the NFL for it. Jameson Williams got in trouble for it in Detroit. You've got a whole FBI legal raid going on in the NBA trying to stop this stuff.
Heck, Wyatt, Pete Rose, one of the greatest hitters to ever pick up a baseball bat, didn't sniff the Hall of Fame until he died. Because he bet on his own team to win as a manager. He wasn't even playing. It happened as a manager, and they banned him from the game when he's the greatest hitter to ever touch. He's got over 4,000 base hits, and he couldn't get to the Hall of Fame until he died.
One of the biggest scandals in sports was the referee gambling scandal in the NBA. Like, and
what did Alabama do when Brad Bohannon got caught? Alabama didn't try to defend Brad Bohannon one bit.
Brad Bohannon got his ass canned from college sports as a whole. Like, so the one golden rule is you don't bet on your sport, and you sure as hell do not bet on your own team. That is immediate grounds for disqualification. No eligibility. You're suspended for life. The whole 9 yards. And Brendan Sorsby got 2 games. Got a 2-game suspension for it.
Yeah, it's true. The funniest outcome of this would be that Texas sucks and they don't actually make the postseason, even trying to play Sorsby. Like, that would be the funniest outcome to me.
I wish that were the case, but I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now. I mean, their toughest games are what? Conference. At Colorado, Arizona State without Sam Leavitt, at Oklahoma State. Maybe Drew Mestamaker can do something with the Cowboys over there, but realistically, I mean, you look at Texas Tech, and I expect them to be in the playoff again, especially now that Sorsby's going to be the guy leading the charge here after the first 2 weeks.
Hey, if I'm the CFP, if somehow like they let them get into that thing, I'd schedule them with the SEC champion game 1. I'd reseed it to be like, hey, you're going to play Texas, you're going to play Georgia. You're going to find out. You're going to play Georgia and Atlanta, the Peach Bowl. You're going to find out.
You manipulate it a little bit, right? So, all right, you're Texas Tech, you're the 12 seed. We're going to punish you for the Brendan Sorsby thing, but you're still going to be in because you had a good season. So you're the 12 seed. Hey, who's the 5 seed that they've got to go play? You got to go to Austin, Texas. Got to go to Texas. All right, you win that game. Where you got to go? You play in Georgia in the Peach Bowl. There you go. Have fun with that. And if you somehow make it out of that, I don't know, whoever the 1 seed is at that point, just you get to go play them in the semifinals there. Like, that's the way they should do it. If the CFP committee's got any stones, that's the way they should do it. Hey, you talked all this smack about Texas. You talked all this crap about Texas in July and June and May. All right. Well, December, weekend before Christmas, you're going to Austin. You win that game,
hey,
congratulations.
If we're the 5 seed, send them to Tuscaloosa. I'd love to play them Brian Denny.
Bring them to Tuscaloosa. But they talked all that smack about Texas. All right, you go in Austin weekend before Christmas. All right, good job. You won that game. Cool. Go play Georgia an hour and a half from their home stadium in Atlanta. Go play them in the Peach Bowl. Hey, good job. You beat Georgia. All right. Now semifinal. You got a chance for the Natty on the line here. All right. You're going to go play Miami in the Orange Bowl. There you go. Deal with that. Deal with that, Joey McGuire. Las Vegas.
Yeah. I mean,
this is the one you're. I'm hoping Bama makes the Natty because you get a bunch of media people out in Las Vegas for a week, and that'll be a lot of fun. I kind of do hope Alabama makes the national championship.
There'd be a lot of people having to walk back to Alabama. Yeah,
there'd be a lot. I wouldn't be one of them because I don't partake in that allegedly, but Brady, I appreciate you, brother. Have a great rest of your day, man.
Yeah, I'm excited for Omaha. Roll Tide, guys.
Yes, sir. That's Brady in Tuscaloosa joining us via the phone lines right there. We'll go ahead and take this next time out here. And on the other side, we talked about it. What does Brendan Sorsby even bring to the table? Is he worth the $4 million? Is he worth the headache that Texas Tech is probably going to have to keep fighting here to keep him eligible? We'll talk about it here on Tide 100.9.
Compact tractors sell in soon. Stop by Tuscaloosa Tractor at 3921 Skyland Boulevard East or go to Kubota.com.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info,
6829. That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
Where the season never ends. This is your home of Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
If you want to get in on the conversation, you can call 205-342-9904, just like Brady did in the last segment, or you can tap that Tide 100.9 app and hit that chat with us option, just like Pop in Lynette did here. He says, just like politics, common sense has gone out the door in college sports. And it really and truly has, right? When you look at Brendan Sorsby, I mean, Whitman and I have said it yesterday and today now, the golden rule is you don't bet on your own sport. Really and truly, the golden rule is you don't gamble at all if you're a professional or a collegiate athlete. But the golden rule, the rule that always seemed to like it would stick, no matter the changes across the sports world, is you don't gamble on your own sports because it compromises the integrity of the game. And now, with the temporary injunction from Brendan Sorsby, that rule just got tossed out the window. It really and truly is the Wild West.
I mean, if politicians can, put their money into the stock market, why can't players bet on their own sport?
At this point, I'm going to do the same thing with sports betting that I do with my stock investment. I'm just going to go, all right, what's Nancy Pelosi investing in? What is she pulling out of? All right, that's what I'm going to do as well. All right, what's Brendan Sorsby betting on? Who's providing insider information? All right, I'm going to tell that. I'm going to tell that.
You may want to find a different player because he didn't make too much money.
That's true. He was betting on Indiana football. Yeah. I mean, in 2022,
Turkish soccer at like 4 a.m.
4 a.m. Turkish soccer, Indiana football in 2022. Hey, Brendan Sorsby, call the hotline, my guy. Call the hotline, brother. You need it at this point. Betting $2 on balls and strikes on Cincinnati Reds games. Call that hotline. You need it. You need it at that point there. So, all right, maybe I don't go tell Brendan Sorsby. You know what? Maybe I go tell Calvin Ridley. Is he still partaking in these activities? I guess with the temporary injunction, is it now just legal for college athletes to bet? Because one court ruling can change the landscape. Is it legal for them to do this now?
Let me rephrase your question, Wyatt. With the power of a temporary injunction, what is not legal for college players to do? I mean, it's getting to the point, how far are we from a free safety running on the field with a chainsaw, using it to, make a tackle? Somebody throws a flag, well, I'll get a temporary injunction. I can carry a chainsaw on the field. I can play defense with it. I can use it.
Can I translate this to real life? Like, can I drive, 80 miles an hour down McFarland Boulevard, and when the cop pulls me over, it's like, nah, man, here's my temporary injunction. I'm good to go.
Well, if you
I'm
tell
good to rock and roll.
As long as you say go Dogs, yeah.
Okay. Okay, maybe the speeding analogy wasn't good. I'm gonna steal Jake Crane's analogy from yesterday. All right, I'm gonna go rob a bank. I need money. I'm gonna go rob a bank. I get caught. I get arrested. Hey, nope. Temporary injunction. You can't hold me responsible. God forbid we have consequences for our actions in the real world.
That would suck.
It really would suck,
that
man.
Would suck. You know what? I'm going to go find a lawyer, and I'm going to go fail my first test in the fall when I get back to school just to see what happens.
Right.
And, I'm going to walk right into those office hours at Reese Pfeiffer. Professor, what happened? Well, son, you got a 12. Oh, that's where you're wrong. This temporary injunction says I got a 112. I'm going to slap it right on his desk, walk right out the door.
It works for athletes, right?
Might as well. Equal
maybe
opportunity.
I'm not high enough maybe I'm not high enough profile yet. Maybe I'm not, maybe once I reach the level of like Ryan Fowler and Gary Harris and Christian Miller, maybe then I can go get my temporary injunction.
Maybe one day, Wyatt. Us little guys, we can keep sticking together.
We're working on it here. Hey, let's jump back on the phone lines. We got Ragged Glory tuning in with us here. Ragged, how you doing, man?
You know what? I'm blessed. It's a beautiful day to take the time to notice someone, love someone, and serve someone. You know what? Be the difference you want to see in the world today. And right now, all I want to comment after I've done all morning long is this. You run with the devil, you got to pay your dues, because justice will prevail. And woe be on Texas. Oh my goodness gracious. It's okay. It may look bad right now, and everything's going to be all this and that, but guess what? You will have to pay your dues, and it's coming. Trust me. Patience, y'all.
We'll see how it goes, man. We'll see.
Let it sink in.
What's going to be the funniest possible outcome is if somehow Texas Tech, they're 10-2 in the regular season, but still made the Big 12 championship, right? Winning you're in, losing you're out type situation. And Brendan Sorsby, game-losing interception, keeps him out of the college football playoff. I think that would be the funniest possible outcome, is if he makes a play that keeps him out of the college football playoff. Game-losing fumble, game-losing interception, or they just get the absolute break speed out of him.
Hey, the devil doesn't care. He's got your soul, and guess what? Patience, y'all. Yes, justice will prevail. It may not be legal, but it comes around in karma. So there it is there.
That it does. What goes around comes around.
There it is there.
Ragged, we appreciate you, man.
Love you guys. Have a blessed day.
You as well. That's Ragged Glory joining us via the phone lines there. Brendan Sorsby, is he worth the hassle? I guess is now the biggest question here, right? I mean, you've done all this work. You've got Brendan Sorsby that, you filed for the temporary injunction. You go and get it. You fought this thing in court. You've got Cody Campbell threatening fans on Twitter. Cody Campbell writing pieces in USA Today. Whitman, maybe it's me. Maybe it's just, I've been blessed to watch the quarterback play across the SEC and the University of Alabama for the last couple of seasons. But
you came through at a good time.
I did. I my freshman year of undergrad was Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts running around and that crew in 2019. That was my freshman year of undergrad here. But Is all this worth it for a guy who threw for 2,800 yards and 27 touchdowns? Is all this worth it for a guy that, had less than 3,500 total yards and about 36 total touchdowns a season ago?
And they're paying for that at a tag of about, what'd you say, $4 million?
$4 million. I believe Cody Campbell announced publicly that he owes Brendan Sorsby $4 million if he is eligible. So, and he said he's happy to pay that price tag. But
the question of if it's worth it or not obviously cannot truly be answered until you look back at what he's done this season. But if we're just speculating, which is 80% of what sports media does, we speculate and we hypothesize. I would unfortunately, sadly, disappointingly even have to say yes, it will be worth it because of the fact I briefly mentioned this a couple of breaks ago. This 24-hour news cycle we live in, this instant, we need it right now stuff. It's a sad question to ask myself, Wyatt, how much longer are we going to care about this before Twitter has shoved something new into our face to look at that is bigger or juicier than Brendan Sorsby? How long are we going to fight this good fight of he can't do this until, a Georgia player gets arrested for speeding or some coach scandal pops up or there's a recruiting violation? Right now, with if the blowback that Texas Tech has sustained over the last 2 days carries into September, if that level of hate towards Lubbock holds up, the answer is no. Because no program can stand the PR damage that they're taking right now for a 2-month, 3-month period. But if what I know the world to be is what the world is going to be over the next 3 months, where people will ultimately forget about this regardless of what happens to Brendan Sorsby, good, bad, or indifferent, it'll probably be worth it. Because $4 million in Lubbock County doesn't buy you a whole lot. I mean, $4 million is chump change to some of those guys in the oil fields. So the money's a non-factor. The people have already come out and said it. The attention's really the question. And that if the hate stays this bad through the football season, it won't be worth it. your PR as Texas Tech, you can't overcome this. Joey McGuire's image cannot overcome this. Cody Campbell cannot overcome this. The AD, nobody can overcome the level of hate that they'll get if they push that kid out on the field, and everybody wants nothing to do with him. But if what I know to usually be the case ends up being the case, and people say, yeah, really, who even cares? We have our own, we have to go put money on the table for our own family. We have our own stuff to worry about. And on top of the fact that, we have other new impending sports issues to deal with, it'll probably be worth it, because at the end of the day, until people are directly affected, they're just not going to care as long and as much as they should. I hope they do, because the kids should never play football again in college. They should. It should matter, and it should impact them. I don't think it will, though. But that is how you answer that question.
What happens? So, okay, we've gone through the college situation here, right? But it's still illegal to do it in pro sports.
Yes.
Right? NBA, NFL, still not able to do it in those leagues. What happens if he gets caught doing it again?
Put him onto the jail.
What happens if he's in, a top 15 pick in the NFL, and he goes 2 seasons and he's up and down, as most, young quarterbacks are in the NFL, but has a really good second half of his second season, right? They come in and they rattle off, 4 or 5 straight wins, make a playoff push, maybe even make a playoff game with Brendan Sorsby at the helm for an NFL franchise. And then March, or not even March, we'll keep the same summer timeline, May, June, as he's entering year 3 as kind of that franchise quarterback, it comes out, hey, Brendan Sorsby was betting on this team as a backup quarterback as a rookie. Hey, Brendan Sorsby was betting on NFL games as an NFL quarterback for opposing teams. Whatever. Let's say he's drafted to the Jets, because I think that'd be very fitting for him at this point.
Deserving.
He's drafted to the Jets, but he's betting on Patriots and Bills games, right, when they play each other. Or he's betting on the Vikings and the Packers when they play one another twice a season as an NFL starting quarterback.
Sorry, Sucker better learn his lesson now, because if something like that comes up and happens again, you need to ban him for life, to the point where he can never coach his son's Pee-wee team.
Yeah.
It's gotten to that point.
But that's what I'm saying. We've now conditioned that, hey, you don't have to face consequences for these actions. The NFL might suspend you, but you may not get banned, because you can just get temporary injunction. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go back to that. Hey, he's gonna call up the same lawyer. Hey man, it happened again. I need another one. I need you back. I need another one here with my first round NFL money. I need another court case here.
And I got to thinking about
temporary injunction.
I got to thinking about when we first talked about this back in April, when the story broke that this happened, and he checked himself into rehab. And I think our conversation, if for some reason anybody can remember that aren't my parents, can remember our conversation, we were a lot more sympathetic about the kid in April, because the story was rehab. It was get the kid help. It was he's got a problem. It's now shifted a lot more to we got to punish him.
It's not even a punishment.
I think
it's not even a punishment, because he goes to the NFL supplemental draft.
It's what should happen. I think what's changed this is the money aspect. And now what has really changed for me is the stories popping up about other college athletes that have gotten popped for the same thing, but it wasn't the same thing. Do you know the name Noah Shannon, former Iowa defensive lineman? $10 bet on an Iowa women's basketball game, stripped of his eligibility, no NFL career.
How about those Iowa State kids? Remember that scandal a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Iowa State kids gambling, and suddenly they get their eligibility snatched.
Yep.
If you are an athletic institution that self-reported any violations over the last 5 years,
you got to be mad.
You got to feel dumb. You've got to be royally ticked off. Whitman, did you know this? When Micah Parsons, because we're Packers fans, when Micah Parsons was being recruited out of high school, right?
I know what. Yep.
He was on an official visit to Ohio State, and he said, "Hey, would love to meet the College Game Day guys,"
because they were in town that weekend.
They were in town that weekend. On the same weekend, Parsons was taking a visit. Hey, I'd love to meet the College Game Day guys. They're so cool. Would love to meet those guys. I've watched them on TV growing up. Ohio State takes him across the stage to meet the College Game Day crew with Ohio State alum Kirk Herbstreit on the panel. They self-report that violation, no longer allowed to recruit Micah Parsons. He ends up going to Penn State and is a first-round pick and is one of the best defenders in the NFL for Dallas and now for Green Bay.
I hate to say a good thing about Ohio State, but I mean, if they've got to be. You can't let a kid, and screw the game day aspect of it. You remember playing dynasty mode on college football when you want to pitch a recruit, one of the options is meet alumni. Last time I checked, Kirk Herbstreit is an alumni.
Yeah. But it's because it was an unofficial visit. Normally you can only do that on official visits. So when he met Kirk Herbstreit's hand or stepped on that same college game day stage as Kirk Herbstreit, suddenly got to self-report that violation. You know, Alabama self-reported a violation last year because somebody bought a recruit a koozie at a gas station. No longer able to recruit that kid.
Mind you, I'm broke as a joke, and I've got 30 of them laying around my apartment because you get them free everywhere you go.
Well, the kid wanted an Alabama koozie. I think it was a baseball player, so they were going to another game. They were going to a different game, right? But he was on an official visit, and somebody had bought him something. I believe it was a koozie. I could be wrong. I could have the exact details wrong on this, but I believe this is what it was. A player was on a visit, and he was bought a koozie. Had to self-report that as a violation. Alabama suffered recruiting violations for that. Alabama no longer allowed to recruit that kid. And the staffer that did it had his recruiting
privileges.
Basically. Like I think he can't go out on the road for like 6 months or a year or something like that to recruit players because he bought a $7 koozie at a gas station for a kid.
I don't get it. And it's an odd world we live in.
And Brendan Sorsby gets suspended 2 games for gambling. You realize this is going to come out weird, and we got to wrap up the program here because we blew through that third break there. So this will be the last point. There are people. Aiden Holloway got suspended more games for marijuana possession than Brendan Sorsby did for compromising the integrity of his sport. Than illegally gambling in a state where it is not legal by sending money to somebody outside of the state of Texas, compromising the integrity of his game because he was still doing it at Texas Tech. He sent money to people outside of the state of Texas to bet on NFL, NBA, and PGA event, not NFL, MLB, NBA, and PGA events while he was at Texas Tech.
Worst part of
so
the
he's still doing it
in a gambling illegal state. Now, when I saw that sending money to people to bet for him, that goes past the integrity of a game. That goes past the NCAA. Heard this in a Key and Peele skit one time. That's federal, baby. That's
you're now committing felonies, my guy.
That's a thumbprint and a mugshot. But no, he looks good in a speed flex. We'll let him play.
That's now a felony, dude. What are you doing? Since transferring to Texas Tech, you've been there 3 months, my guy.
I think the big thing here is these athletic directors and all these other, conferences saying, we're just not going to play Texas Tech. We need to, shut them out. It was a conversation that people were having about Notre Dame at the start of the year when they were crying about not making the playoff. And then, USC's like, well, we're not going to play for the next 2 years. So figure it out yourself. You need the scheduling help. You're just going to schedule poor ACC, poor Big Ten, and group of 5 teams so you can inflate your schedule and be undefeated with this 12-team automatic bid that you have. Now, teams should rightfully so not play Texas Tech. If I'm a team in the Big 12, I'm calling the commissioner of the Big 12, and I'm saying, take them off our schedule right now.
We're not playing them.
We're not playing them.
We're not going to play them. So I'm proud of the SEC and the Big 10, specifically Georgia and Nebraska, because they were the ones that kind of started this. I'm proud of the SEC and the Big 10 for taking matters into their own hands. And this feels like what's going to end up happening is the SEC and the Big 10, one of those two, the governing body of the sport is going to start to come out of the SEC and the Big Ten. Don't know if it's going to be Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti or if it's going to be, assistants and whatnot, but proud of them for coming out and saying, NCAA is not going to handle this. We'll handle it. We got it because you have no power at this point, Mr. NCAA. That'll do it for us today on the radio side of things. Don't forget, Ryan Fowler at 3:15. We'll have Alabama Athletic Director Greg Byrne right here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Northport Police has turned over a shooting case to the Tuscaloosa Violent Crimes Unit after officers were called to the Knoll Circle apartments on 17th Street in Northport last night. No further details have been released. A 7-week Tuscaloosa Police FBI field operation has produced 172 arrests and the removal of 22 illegal firearms from the streets. And the National Weather Service in Birmingham says Friday could be an extreme heat day across West Alabama. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more news. I'm Don Hartley.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of The Game, we're going to have a chance to talk to Mike Detillier, WWL, the Big 870. We'll talk to Andy Phillips, former Alabama Crimson Tide baseball player the last time Alabama went to Omaha. And we'll talk to the athletic director for the Alabama Crimson Tide, Greg Byrne, all on the Tuesday edition of The Game, starting at 2 p.m. on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from